And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Captain Future Show here from my kitchen. Tonight has been a mind blowing night again, as Monday nights have been during the last couple of months during COVID times. Of course, every Monday night we play something called the Glass Bead Games. It's a fascinating game. It can be played around any subject or word, and it works like this: you do a 10-minute round, typically game. First 1 minute of meditation, and the two of you that do a 10-minute round, you go 1 minute each, so you do 5 rounds each of 1 minute to a total of 10 minutes, and then you talk about rounded subject, and you don't use the word I or you. So it's a kind of collective intelligence talk around the topic, a subject, and stuff like that. And tonight we've talked around 3 subjects. First, evolution, and then we got to choose from a list, and we chose curiosity. And then the last game was a longer game on wells of wisdom or just wisdom. It's a fascinating experience in itself, and the games themselves are connected, and all the previous game you have played also factor in. So tidbits and thoughts and feelings from previous games pops into your mind as you play a game like this with similar people and stuff like that. So it's a fascinating experience, and it's an experience. It's what we call deep listening and crystallizing. If you're familiar with ULab, you really listen to what other people say and you build upon them, and then together collectively you create a new evolve a concept or a word or something like that. And it's every session has been unique in its way, and every session I have learned something about a word or a concept just by talking about it myself together with others. So it's a really fascinating subject. And tonight I'm going to delve into what we talked about tonight. First, we talked about evolution. It was like, yeah, evolution is this concept of everything is evolving, and everything goes into a next generation where things have changed. Life itself has gone through so many iterations in evolution here on Earth, and now we have even a when we talk evolution outside life, that the evolution of innovation, technology, knowledge, and culture it itself is also iterating, and even in a faster pace, in the great acceleration, we're ever evolving, and stuff like that. And then we went into one of my absolute favorite subjects, uh, curiosity, and we of course talked about follow the white rabbit. It's go down a rabbit hole. What is curiosity? How long can you be curious? Was this a skill of curiosity? Uh, how many rabbit holes can you have? Go deep for? Does curiosity ever end, or things like that? Um, Amazing experience itself. And what is anti-curiosity, and what is the shrines or temples of curiosity? And then we came to the last part, the wisdom that builds up from the previous two. And it was an amazing conversation. What is wisdom? I've been talking about wisdom for many years, but even tonight, during a 10-minute period where we two people talked about wisdom, uh, I got new insights and experience of what wisdom is. And we talked about what I think is the most interesting part of wisdom. One of them is what I call grains of wisdom, and then I took up this one. It's an Apple TV. This is a device many of us use when we stream things from Netflix, Amazon, and other stuff, and watching TV series, foremost maybe movies, or even I stream a lot of YouTube even on my Apple TV. I have that in the background, listening to stuff while I sit work or do stuff else. But in a time like this, many of us has binge watching TV series on Netflix. That's one things we use that. And storytelling and Netflix, from the beginning, storytelling contains grains of wisdom. That's why storytelling evolved. And why are we so fascinated with storytelling? Many aspects of this, but one of it is an evolutionary advantage to pay to pay to focus on what the grains of wisdom is in a story. So that's how we transferred knowledge and wisdom in the olden days, before we had written language and stuff like that. And still our brains are very hooked on stories, not just for this reason. There's several other reasons why we're so hooked on stories. I can really recommend a book called The Storytelling Animal by Jonathan Goshal, where he explored this further, why we're so hooked on stories. But it's supposed to contain grains of wisdom. And after you watch this story, you should be able to reflect upon what wisdom it taught you. So for every TV series you watched, if you watch something tonight, what did you learn from every episode? What is the takeaway, the grain of wisdom in an episode? And this is something we seldom talk about. Today, we have commercialized stories into something what we call entertainment. But entertainment has always been around. It's not something that is commercial in itself right now. But today, we don't even have the conversation on what wisdom is there in every episode. We can discuss the narrative and the story and what people did in a series and like that. And we can even discuss. There's a lot of discussion if you're a connoisseur in the movies or culture, you can talk about the craft itself of making a movie, making a TV series. But very very seldom do you hear the conversation about what wisdom is contained inside a movie or TV series. This is not the foremost awards at the Oscars or the Golden Globe and awards like this. What is the wisest movie of the year? What is the wisest part of a movie? What was the best learning experience of a movie this year? You don't have awards from that. There's not even a conversation about it. And why is that? When grains of wisdom is the primary focus of what storytelling is. And that's just me ranting about it. I can rant for hours about this. Well, we also touched upon except for stories, what else are the shrines and the temples and the sanctuaries of wisdom in society today? We touched upon libraries and schools, but they primarily contain what we call knowledge and information, and not so much wisdom. And this is not this place we go for wisdom seeking every day. There's like in most of modern libraries, there's like, if you're lucky, a couple of times a week or once a week or maybe several times per day, there's some form of lecture or something like that where you can come and listen to someone talking about the subject. There are even some group conversations, stuff like that. Stuff that we moved online right now, but it's not that regular. Your local library don't live stream the wisdom channel every day in your local community, or on a global level, even like that. So that's also stuff we have to think about. And if you look in our cities today, our modern temples are the shopping malls and also the steel and glass skyscrapers of the finance and banking industry, insurance industry. This is our modern temples in our big cities. And why is that? Cities are hubs for people where they do their daily activities of creating society together. And one of the best aspect of a civilization is that we have built wisdom together, that our civilization is built on the collective wisdom our society is. And why isn't our biggest temples and shrines in cities about just that? Why isn't the highest building in the city the wisdom shrine, where we get together in a hub, a wisdom center, wisdom dojo or something like that, where we learn from each other and evolve and innovate and do that. What we typically do in some small partner city, if you have an incubator or a meeting place or a creative place where entrepreneurs and people like that meet up to build startups or projects and learning together, or just hanging out together. And if you look upon a civilization that will stand the test of time, so in 10,000 years' time, or even 1,000 years' time, it would be hard to imagine a civilization that isn't built upon knowledge, science, and wisdom. And then, of course, the primary focus of a city would be this. This is what the universities or the libraries and the schools are today. But they're what we call academica, and not really wisdom centers in itself. You go there as a young people, or even as some papa, to learn a new skill or trade, or even cultivate your awareness around things. But we don't use words like wisdom and lifelong learning yet, even around stuff like that. So that's also something we have to change. And I just saw a post from a friend today on just before this broadcast here on Facebook that one of his favorite TV series is Battlestar Galactica. Going back to storytelling now, and that is also one of my absolute favorite TV series, if not the number one, at least on the top five, together with The Expanse, Orphan Black, Black Sails, and The Travelers. I think of five of my favorites. It could be others, but that's what comes to mind. And they all contains many grains of wisdom and insights and things to think about. That's why so many of them who love this stuff like this can rewatch them many times. And that I think I've gone so far as I want to go tonight. But every Monday night at 9 p.m., 2100 hours European time, Central European time, we do our glass bead games. It's usually for 2 or 2.5 hours if you stay around for a while. So join in. You can find a link in this description here. Hello, Bartola. Around the glass bead game. It's a profound experience if you want to do a learning session. And it's we figuring out. It's not me that runs it, but it's some Lawrence and Jen and Khan and all other Magiceludus have run it so far. But this is a concept that by far the best experience I had all spring and all summer in the online world of Zoom calls we have now. So this has been every Monday. I really look forward to this. So this is something we definitely should experiment and prototype and scale up as to create a learning society, because this is one of the best experience where you actually learn and evolve and go outside yourself and get new insights around the subject or a term just by playing this small silly little game together. So profound experience for me, and I don't know if it's for everyone, but for me it's like the highlight of the week easily, and also the highlight of my life in a learning experience. Just during a 10-minute game, you can learn something new about the subject in a way that would take even a week or something like that, or else like ordinary reading or stuff like that. This is very cool. Of course, you play the game better if you know a lot about the subject you talk about, because then you can make new connections in the interplay between the other players. So in between the games, you can of course read up on a lot of subjects and stuff you want to have as a glass bead and talk about. So this is very cool, great way. So these are some of the insights I have tonight. So let's build these new shrines, temples, and sanctuaries of wisdom. I know the Wisdom Center Alliance in Japan are talking about building wisdom centers, and I would, for one, would like to have wisdom centers and wisdom dojos start prototyping, experimenting. This is a new way. We can actually, you don't have to build new infrastructure. We can actually maybe use the libraries we have or a hub or something like that, but also start calling it different and doing activities like the glass bead game actually in place. When we don't do it online, we can actually do things like the glass bead game on site in a hub or a library, stuff like that. Every week or every day even have sessions where we do this face to face after COVID, that is, or even now during, where we can at least sit in a circle and keep our distance. So that's something we can start experimenting also well with, and something I'm willing to do. So I'm gonna explore that further. I think I've talked about most of the things I want to talk about tonight. Yeah, so follow the white rabbit and go into your rabbit hole, and you're in touch of curiosity. With this is one of my favorite subjects. Curiosity, like we talk about, it is a skill, and it's two skills. It's general curiosity, when you are curious about everything that comes in your way, and also the skill of deep curiosity. That's many people who becomes experts or a master in a subject. They explore a subject or something and attains mastery. Me and Bartola, we just saw a documentary from 2010 yesterday about a sushi maker in Japan, and he spends his whole life attaining mastery on sushi. So he's what you have called deep curiosity about sushi. How can you spend every day trying to figure out how to do sushi better, and improve upon your own sushi skills. And that's what we call deep curiosity. But we also need a lot more people doing what we call general curiosity, and that's connected to what it is being a polymath, a near generalist, a weaver, a navigator, a multipotentialite, a maverick, and terms like this. If you're curious about that, I made a really cool conversation with oh, I forgot the name every time. So I say that Captain Future. So I say her name right. Angela Myers Cotalesa. Angela Cotalesa, yeah. We talked about what it is to be a polymath in the modern society today and why we need so many more polymaths. So I link to that if you want to find it. It's on my YouTube channel, Captain Future Show, or so you can find it there, or I'll link to it afterwards here in the comment as well. So a really fascinating talk, because this is something we want to talk a really lot more about. What is it to be the generalist, the people who connect the world dots? We talk about weavers who build the networks. We talk about navigators who navigate society. We talk about the generalist that can understand many fields of knowledge and connect them together. So it's many aspects of being this polymath today and the generalist today. So it's many skills woven into one being this today. So it's not just one thing. There's many aspects and skills about this, but it's something we need, because as we talked about, as knowledge and science and wisdom get more complex every day, we know more stuff about more things every day that goes by now. Who can keep track on all that? It's more than a full-time job. We need like a global network of millions of wise people keeping track on everything else, that the people who go into deep curiosity evolve. What are they sciencing about? What new products and startups and services are emerging, and how do you keep track and share the knowledge between all these fields and help people out to find what they seek? We can of course use a lot of digital technology and AI to search about this stuff, but this is a time-consuming process in itself, just sitting, reading, and searching about stuff. That's what we call in Sweden part omvärldsbevakning. It's like when you read up on subject constantly to keep in the know. But this becomes a more complex process for every day, a week, month, year that goes by, because there's more stuff to know about every field. So it becomes an impossible task if we don't start training dedicated people who spend their whole life just doing this as on its own, help everyone else to find out what's going on in society and how we build our collective intelligence. Because this is the only way forward I see to solve all our global challenges and actually have a global civilization, to keep the weave together, the enmeshment, all the networks, all the hubs, all the knowledge, all the science, all the people, all things in nature. That nature is a great part of this. So how do we understand everything? To keep all that together, we need millions of people dedicated to just doing the keeping together. So that's my thoughts and my grains of wisdom tonight. And what are your? This is one, and this is the other. Two artifacts of wisdom. You can weave, you can navigate, you can learn stuff with this. And this is also a primary device. This is my Apple TV, where I stream much of the things I learn every day and take part of stories. I love stories, but for me, stories has always been about new insights and new connections in the brain. So sometimes when I watch a TV series, I pause it halfway through and just read on Wikipedia for 2 hours before continuing, because there was a subject or something coming up that I want to learn more about. So that's how I do it. So, try spending an evening with me watching Netflix and see what happens. Yeah. So grains of wisdom. This is the artifacts. Wisdom is three things we also talked about this. For me, it's the wisdom inside you, the, like your lifelong experience of being you and all the knowledge, insights, and the wisdom you build up during a lifetime. And wisdom is also everything outside you, the stored wisdom that we store in stories and books and stuff, and in society, infrastructure, how we build everything, the skills and knowledge and the traits that you can learn. Things that we didn't know 100 years ago that we know now how to build or make something out of. This is the external wisdom. And we also have the what we call the intermeshed wisdom, that is the wisdom of interacting with each other and building society. So three aspects of wisdom: the internal, the external, and the intermeshed part of wisdom. This is something we can talk more about, but I think I'll stop there tonight. So this is how far I go on this side. So bye everyone, and thank you for staying with me. Do contact me or other people if you're interested in the glass bead game or wisdom and stuff like that. So love you all.